YouTube. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Big week for the Auburn Tigers taking on the University of Alabama. They got a whole bunch of national championships. They have several talented players over the years that have really branded this program as probably one of the best dynasty in recent history, with Nick Saban coming on in 2007. National championships. So when we break down Alabama and how they have been successful this particular year, it's kind of unique, actually, because when you really look at it, Alabama is a very talented football team, but they have been the beneficiaries of not having to face, I'm not going to even say elite. They have not had to face sound quarterback play. Because when we look over the last few weeks of Alabama, we talk about Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi State, teams of that nature. Those teams have not been successful at all at the quarterback position in helping to even be competitive. You look at a situation with Tennessee where Guarantano was 13 of 24 for 162 yards. The running back for Tennessee, who gashed Auburn, only had 57 yards. That's not going to help you out with a talented team like Alabama. Then you go to Mississippi State. You have Will Rogers at 24 for 37, 147 yards and 2 interceptions. And then you have Jaquarvius Marks, 9 carries for 32 yards. See, the thing that happens when you have a situation like this, when you're not able to produce offensively, Alabama's defense is not necessarily elite, but they're able to capitalize off of the fact that they keep you off balance. They keep you in a level of anxiety to where you get out of your game plan. You look to the latest game against Kentucky, where Alabama won 63-3. Terry Wilson was 10 of 19, 120 yards. Asim Rose, 10 carries for 68 yards. That's not going to get you where you need to be. Now, I feel like this. You look at a situation like with Bo Nix. Bo Nix has averaged about 200 and something yards per game and has really emerged as possibly one of the most viable threats to actually keep this a football game. Bo Nix definitely has to be a factor in this game. He can't be a game manager. They still need to keep Bo Nix around that, throwing the ball less than 30 times per game, because what Alabama likes to do is they deplete your running game and then they force you into situations to where your quarterback has to win the game. And looking at the quarterbacks that have competed against Alabama in the last few weeks, they just haven't been effective. And another thing that teams haven't been able to do against Alabama is the fact that Alabama gives teams opportunities. Because if you look at the Georgia game, Georgia was in plus territory several times, didn't make it happen. But why? It was because of the lack of the quarterback game. You look over the past few weeks for Alabama, they've actually outscored. They've averaged average of 50 points per game. Their opponents 6 points per game, and you can predicate that all back to offensive production. And when Alabama can score as often and as effective as they can, that puts a team in a very anxiety type situation. So what does Auburn have to do? Obviously, Auburn has to control the time of possession in this game, and I think they can, assuming that Tank Bigsby will be able to play this week. All indications, reliable sources. The media says he's questionable, but all reliable sources say that Tank Bigsby will play in this football game. And if Tank Bigsby is able to play, they have the full access to the running game that they have. I'm not saying that Auburn has a chance per se, But Auburn has the opportunity to make this a competitive game. If Auburn can't move the ball, say for instance, like in 2018, when Auburn missed a lot of opportunities early, the defense starts to get fatigued. The defense starts to really reel on certain situations. So another thing that will help Auburn is the fact that Devin Waddell, who is an X factor and has been an X factor for a few years, he's not there. That's a lot of offensive production for Alabama that won't be there this particular week. But one thing that definitely has to happen, Auburn has to keep everything up front. You can't allow those big plays like in Georgia where Alabama had that long touchdown, those back-breaking plays that really changed the trajectory of the football game. So moving forward, this is just an initial kind of perspective of how this game can particularly go. Just like Alabama, Auburn has dominated the second and third quarter. Alabama has dominated it at a higher level than Auburn, but the key to this game is Auburn staying put, staying in the game, finding a way to create opportunities, having turnovers that go in their favor, like early in the game against Georgia. Richard LeCounte had an interception in plus territory, but Georgia didn't take advantage. Auburn has to take advantage of those opportunities that Alabama will give against I wouldn't say elite teams, but against decent teams. Alabama has given teams the opportunity in plus territory to move forward, but they didn't take advantage. I think Auburn probably has a small opportunity to do that. 3 good running backs, have a decent set of wide receivers, decent set of skill players. The offensive line is definitely going to be key. So we're going to see how this thing progresses. We got some more information coming tomorrow as far as breaking down further this game. I'm really intrigued at how Auburn approaches this game, especially on the offensive side. Alabama is going to have some success. They have some great receivers. They have a great running back in Najee Harris, who is a Heisman Trophy candidate, who averages about, a little over 6 yards per carry. A great running back, has over almost 800 yards for the year. But this game is not, I just don't feel like it's going to be as one-sided as people may think. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.